Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, and welcome to the beginning of the introduction to a new part of our podcast.
Yep, it's like, how many podcasts are you going to do with this?
This is a special series that has become close to our heart, and we are calling it the Artemis Fowl Scratch-Offs.
Yes, and we call it this because when we were first reading the books, we were pretty much blown away by the story. It was so good that eventually we wanted to reread the books again, so we bought 7 out of 8 of them, and then read as we could. Yeah, and the files. So we read as much as we could. We got as much as we could, and then started reading the books all over again. But the second time around reading it, Mama started saying some things in between, like reading in between the lines of the books. Like there was a lot to uncover anyway from each book because they're actually like foreshadowing for future books. What it meant subliminally, and it shows more character development. But for this one, Mama would say things that the characters didn't say on the page. And
you asked me, what are you saying? I said, this is what Owen Colfer really wanted to say. These are the scratch-offs. This is what the character is really saying. This is the G rating, and this is what the character really means.
Right.
This is what the character really means.
Yes.
And somehow Rascal made this become a fun tradition with every single book we read after that.
Right. And I call them scratches because we watched a show called Lottery Dream Home.
Yes.
And they would have this segment when they had the episodes and re-air them. They would call them scratch-offs as a pun, and you would see bonus material or things throughout the episode. So I call them scratch-offs.
And I called it scratch-offs.
Is it scratch-offs? I'm sorry. Mama called it scratch-offs.
We call it scratch-offs.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
Okay. Mama called it scratch-offs because
you get the truth behind what's being said. And I don't plan saying these things, so you know they just up and come out while I'm reading it, and I end up saying it out loud. And so then Rascal said, okay, every time you have one of these thoughts, you have to tell me so I can write them down. And so now she has this notebook filled with every time I did this, and I couldn't believe it when she started showing them to me and reading them to me. Like, did I really make that many comments? So we thought the best way to do this would be to share these with you book by book. We hope that you enjoy them as much as we have come to. I can't believe some of these things I've actually said.
And what's even more fun is that it's also done in manga. We've seen it done in recent manga where they'll tell you a conversation, they tell you what they're really saying underneath. So the scratch-offs actually end up being used in Japan.
Yes. So first, Rascal's going to give you a quick synopsis of book 1. Won't take long, and then we'll get right into the scratch-offs.
Alright, so book 1 is just called Artemis Fowl. And no, it's nothing like the movie, so stick with the book. So in here, the book reads, apparently, 12-year-old Artemis Fowl is a millionaire, a genius, and above all, a criminal mastermind. You need to give more information than that, so we need to go more detail. But even Artemis doesn't know what he's taken on when he kidnaps a fairy, Captain Holly Short of the Lep Recon unit, and it's pretty much a pun on the word leprechaun. These aren't the fairies of bedtime stories. These fairies are armed and dangerous. Artemis thinks he has them right where he wants them, but then they stop playing by the rules. Now, ignore that! Disney didn't even bother giving you that much detail. They didn't get this right in the movie.
The jacket.
No, it's like, did you read your own description? Okay, if you've seen the movie before reading these books, well, none of the stuff I just read you happens in that movie. So in here, what really happens is that Artemis is a 12-year-old criminal mastermind. He is super genius, super brilliant. Though that works to his advantage, people don't believe it. It's hilarious. And his father goes missing for 2 years. So they find out that the Fowl fortune, because their whole family's a bunch of, really a family of criminals. There's a long line of family criminals for centuries. And their fortune is running low after the father disappeared. And they think he's dead, but Artemis doesn't. So when the fortune starts running low, he decides the quickest way to get more gold to restore it is to get fairy gold. But not the way they got it, like getting at a pot of gold from a rainbow. No, the fairies are like,
and
really,
it's definitely not in their basement.
Right, and the fairies are really high tech in here. So what he's going to do is kidnap an officer from a leprechaun, which is a pun on leprechaun, and hold her for ransom to get the fairy gold. But doing all that, it doesn't go as totally as planned.
And that's when the book really gets started, and we're introduced to a number of characters: Artemis, Butler, his mom, Holly, and Mulch, and Foley, and Root, and so many more.
Yes.
So now that we've given you a quick synopsis, we will begin on the scratch-off.
Right.
So,
if you have the book with you, we hope you have the original, not the Disney printout, because Disney seems to start condensing some things together and even changing the Gnomish code at the bottom, so it's gonna look more like the movie than what Owen Colfer created. So but either way, you can still read what we got.
and
So
follow along with us.
right. So the pages might be numbered a little differently depending on which copy you have.
And because of that, Rascal's just going to read you the line, and then she's got me reading what I said, because a lot of this stuff I don't even remember saying.
Yeah.
But apparently I did, so.
Yes. So
Apologies up front if they offend you, but actually I think they're absolutely hilarious, and I can't believe they came out of my head.
okay. So we start with book 1. Let me see here. Okay. First one. This is Artemis has puzzled the greatest minds.
Until he met Disney.
I'm sorry. Okay, the next one is there's no doubt that Artemis is a child prodigy, but why does someone of such brilliance dedicate himself to criminal activities? This is a question that can be answered by only one person, and he delights in not talking.
So Mulch Diggum does it for him.
In that movie.
Yeah, and then apparently I said the next time, perhaps the best way to describe Artemis is not to sell it to Disney.
Right, because they're going to change his story. Alright, so the third one says, about the story begins.
At the dawn of the 21st century, when Disney first acquired the rights to the book.
Yeah, they kind of got over this quickly before it even got out on the shelves. Like, wow, it worked fast. Alright, is it perhaps the description would be
More accurate, helpful, Disney.
Now we skip ahead. A bit. I'm sorry. Oh goodness. Okay, after Artemis captures Holly, he takes a look at what she looks like, and he says, "Definitely a girl, pretty too," in a pointy sort of way.
And I remember thinking and saying, "Oh no, it started." It's the beginning of the Artemis.
Yes,
some people say doesn't exist. It was the beginning.
Yeah, someone said they had shipped it before. He said before my brain processed what shipping was. I already knew it.
That's right.
Okay, and they were 12 too. All right. oh, wait. All right, here we go. Okay, let's see. And Juliet tells Holly about Artemis. That's who captured her. It says Holly frowned. Artemis Fowl. For some reason, even the name made her shiver. It was a bad omen.
And I said, that's not an omen. It's a sign that he was your soulmate.
Like, that's an odd reaction. I mean, I've seen people get shivers, but the name usually is like lightning strikes or something. Okay, the next one. In case of an abduction, the LEP will first send a crack retrieval team to get back what has been lost. This is from Artemis. You have done so. Excuse me while I titter. Crack team?
And I said he was thinking, I got you.
Oh gosh, okay. Okay, and then Argan talks about, selling the story. People wouldn't believe it actually happened. And he says, why? Movie rights will be worth a fortune.
And I said, not in Disney's hands.
Yeah, because it's like you can't follow anything now.
And for those who haven't read the book, Jay Argan is the doctor that is a psychiatrist in the book, and the story's being told from his perspective and from his so-called notes and what he's witnessed within the universe.
All right. So this next one takes place after Holly got out of her cell. And it's by the time Captain Short got through with this foul character, he'd be begging her to get out of his manor. And then what'd you say?
And I said, that's not what happened. By the time she was done, he wanted her to move in. Okay, the next one's getting further towards the end of the story. Like, I think we believe we're on the second to last chapter.
or we are in the last chapter with an epilogue. It says, where she tells him that he can't escape the bio bomb, or the blue rinse they have near, which they cut out from the film, which is supposed to wipe out every living thing in an area. And Artemis says, I can escape, Holly. Look into my eyes and tell me I can. So she did. Captain Holly Shore gazed into her captor's blue-black eyes, and she saw the truth in there. And for a moment, she believed it.
And I said, that's not all she saw. She was smitten.
Yeah, because it was suddenly a personality change after that scene, right. So maybe it did happen. Okay, and then the next one after Holly got out with the other half of the gold, she's trying to convince Root to not do the blue rinse, so we can just mind wipe him, get the other half, and then be on our way. But Root says that's not what you have to do. We gotta take them out. And Root says, you're suffering what humans call Stockholm Syndrome. You have bonded with your captor. Well, don't worry, it'll pass. And
I
then
said, that was no dang Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome?
Like, wait a minute. How do you get Stockholm Syndrome that fast? Like, it would have been like a few hours.
I had Stockholm Syndrome through the end of the series and now into the Fowls one.
Yeah, like, you don't get Stockholm Syndrome that fast unless you're Beauty and the Beast.
Recorded Stockholm Syndrome in history.
Right? Oh, gosh. Okay, and then they get to after the blue rinse is done, and it looks like there's nobody in the house. Looks like they succeeded. So there was actually two parts of this one. It's that for all his grand designs, Artemis had been a mere mortal in the end, and for some reason, she would mourn his passing. And then, what did you say, 2 times?
And I said, yes, you do. You want Artemis Fowl. That's why.
and then what? And then what else?
And I say, yeah, her future passed before her eyes. Like it did later on in another volume we'll get to.
Oh gosh. Okay, and then there's a point where they have this rule where fairies can't enter a human dwelling without permission, kind of like vampires. Because if they do, they'll get sick, and if they stay there too long, they lose their magic forever. So some of the officers started getting sick and tossing their cookies. So then they had checked, and the gold was still there, so it was proof that Artemis was still alive. So then Holly said, they made it, completed Holly. He's alive. Artemis Fowl's alive. And then
I said, she didn't give a dang about nobody else. She was like, Artemis, like, what about everyone else?
Oh, Butler, Juliet, like, there were 2 other people in Artemis. Like, there's 3 other people in this house. Oh, goodness, okay. And then at the end, before it goes back to Artemis for the epilogue, there's one more scene that they have in the inner monologue, is that Artemis would be back with some other scheme, and said when he arrived, he would find Holly Short waiting for him, waiting with a big gun and a smile. Now, why she's smiling about that, but okay. And then what did you say?
That's not all she would have. No explanation necessary.
Right, like you just figured that out on your own.
Right, yes, Artemis began in this book. I'm just not sure how anyone thinks that it didn't start in this book. And I'm also a little confused as to why people think that there was a huge age difference. They explain about the elves or the fairy people aging differently than humans. They live a lot longer. We found that the root is 800 years old. They mentioned this. There's one that has lived to over 2,000 years old. So it's kind of like how people do dog years, where the dog may be 10, but in dog years you multiply it times 9, the dog is 90. So for fairies it kind of works the same way, where 1 year of their life is equivalent to more in a human's.
Right.
But it's still that 1 year.
Exactly.
So based on what we have found within the books, she and Artemis aren't far apart, and stay tuned, I should say, or keep listening, because we're going to present a very short video that explains and shows you the written documented proof that she and Artemis are not far apart in age.
Right, especially has to do with the movie too.
There's nothing wrong with Artemis. Artemis is beautiful.
Yes, we'll also even go into detail for the movie as well, for like extra info for you.
And for those of you that have been going, why are you reading these books? Because they are dang good. These books are excellent, and it doesn't matter your age. And in an interview, Owen Colfer said himself that when he wrote these books, he remembered how he would read books that were not for children. And when he wrote this series, he didn't want to write a set of books that were only for kids. He wanted to be for any age to enjoy, and he succeeded. Now, of course, you know how the Dewey Decimal System is, and how the media, is just determined to categorize everything. So it's categorized as elementary. But when you read these books, you can really tell they were meant to be enjoyed by everyone. And there's a lot in them that really would go far over the head of some very young elementary kids.
Exactly.
Like a 5-year-old has no business reading Artemis Fowl. So I enjoy these books. They're brilliantly written. And I will be very happy one day in the future when someone gets the rights and actually makes movies or a series that follow what Owen has in the books.
Yes.
I would be absolutely
right, because
unfortunately,
people are still waiting for the books to come to life because we did not get it. So we're waiting for a day when we can gush over, hey, they got everything right.
Yes. So apparently I did this for every book and Rascal wrote them down. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments. We will be doing one video for each book so that we keep them separated. And I really do hope you enjoyed them. I really didn't even remember some of these things I said. I can't believe some of the things I said. But it just, the writing brings it out in you. You are reading it and you feel like you are in on the secret, that you're in on what's really going on, that you're a part of the book. And that's just brilliant writing. And we thank you so much, Owen Colfer, for writing these. Over 20 years later, these books are still as popular as they were when they first came out, and original readers are still waiting to see it in some cinematic form.
Right.
So what we're presenting to you today is the beginning of what we're going to call the ECCU, the Owen Colfer Cinematic Universe.
Right.
As close as we can get to it.
Right.
So
be sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell updates on future podcasts, and of course, the reviews and more pause videos.
And more Artemis Fowl content, including our scratch-offs.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching.
If you have your own, let us know. Let us know what they are in the comments. If you had any of these kind of thoughts while you were reading the books, like you really felt like you knew there was an underlying message or the character really meant something different that wasn't said in the book, let us know in the comments below.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.